Hello and good afternoon. I'm back. It's Wednesday, March 19th. I am Rob, the developer dad, and we are continuing to work in the DM's familiar on the edit capabilities. I realized earlier this morning when I was preparing for this morning's stream that I had made a big mistake in how I was approaching the stats editing capability, and that I created an overcomplicated mess that just, the more I worked in it, the less it seemed likely that I was actually gonna succeed in getting it implemented the way I was trying to implement. So this morning's stream, I backed all of those changes out back to the basic editor and started moving some things around a little bit. I stood up a edit Townsperson ViewModel, which inherits from the Townsperson class and actually creates a copy of itself from those changes or from the incoming model, and then that copy is used to create the editor or the edit model with all of the editable fields and all of that stuff. So let's take a look at Edit NPC. It wasn't working when I ended the stream this morning because I hadn't quite removed all of the shreds of stuff that I'd added for stats, but I've got the functionality restored. I can change the character's name, and I can reset. That all still works. Eyes, and save my changes, and everything gets persisted back to remote cloud storage, all of that good stuff. There we go. So I hadn't made any significant changes to how any of this works yet. I haven't moved any of the custom attributes or anything like that. So let's start that process. I'm going to talk through how I do this before I actually start manipulating code. And I can close this out because everything's all good. We'll leave edit model, the editable model builder. It shouldn't change all that much. This is what I had forgotten to fix, is I needed to change the type in the user editable types array that I use for validating from just a regular Townsperson to an edit Townsperson view model. So there we go. All right. So on the Townsperson, on the full name property, I've got this user editable thing. It's stood up, all of that stuff, right? I need a better way to express this attribute away from the Townsperson domain model. So what I'm going to try to do here is we've got our Townsperson all set, our edit thing view model all set up. I'm going to collapse this region because I shouldn't need it anymore. And what I'm going to do is, let's see here. I need to grab this line, copy that, and I'm going to paste it over here. Now the compiler is going to start to yell almost immediately. Just with a warning, it's going to say, hey, it hides inherited member. Use the new keyword if hiding was intended. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to say new. Now, what's full name complaining about? Non-nullable full name must contain a non-null value when exiting constructor. Yabba blah, 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 blah. So I guess I better stand up a constructor. get rid of the parameters and say full name equals new generated property. There we go. Now, this is where I got to put on my bravery hat. I'm going to take this. We're going to cut. And then I'm going to paste it over here. Now, this change isn't going to be recognized while the application is running. I know that much. So we're going to need to save all changes. I'm going to rebuild the solution. Now, if I'm lucky, and if what I think is going to happen actually happens, then this, what I've done, should do what I expect it to do. If not, we're going to have to do some digging into how C# and inheritance works in .NET. But my gut is telling me that this should be okay-ish. We'll see. I expect it'll at least bind. Excuse me. All right, so we've rebuilt. We'll start the server up again. And, okay, it looks like it's ready and waiting. I'll pull this over and refresh the browser window. Okay. So it looks like the background model building and all of that stuff has gone off without a hitch. Let's hit view. We can view the NPC just like we did before. Good, good. Let's hit edit, see what we get. On initialize edit model, let's just get rid of that breakpoint. We know we're getting here. And I don't see a bunch of error messages. And we have our editor. Let's change bright eyes back to bright wood. Reset. We're able to revert to bright eyes. Bright leaf. Just for something different. Now I'll save my changes. And it looks like we've lost the name on. Oh yeah, we have. Okay, so the back propagation of that property didn't work for us. But that's okay. I kind of expected that if everything else went right, the back propagation was what was going to not work so great for us. So here's what I need to do. Instead of just doing a straight up property that receives and exposes a full instance of that generated property, I have to convert this into a pass-through. So that means I need to give this a backing property. That can be read. Now what I need to do is go private Townsperson instance. And then a internal void set instance. And now in the from Townsperson, ViewModel equals new edit Townsperson ViewModel dot set instance with my source instance. And I can save. Now we can turn this. Actually, you know what? Before we do that change, let me save everything and rebuild. I don't expect this step to have improved things because there's no connection between this full name property that we've kind of shadowed or that we're using to hide the full name property on our edit model or the edit view model. There's no connection between that and this backing instance, but we'll get there. I just want to rebuild, rerun the server and test and make sure I haven't broken anything. All right, the server's running. Pull it back and refresh the screen. All right, we'll edit LON Brightleaf. We'll save. We get back and we still have a nameless Sealy-Fay cartographer. I'm not surprised. I didn't expect anything magical to happen, even if we are dealing with the Sealy-Fay. Because remember, when you're dealing with the Fay, every interaction is governed by strict rules. My wife and I are rewatching The Magicians now, and it's a lot of fun. So instead of getting here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return instance.fullName. And then in here, I'm going to say instance.fullName equals value. And that's init only. So what I need to do, because we know this is an edit model, we're going to do this. Instance.fullName dot apply user edit with the new value. Dot value. That's not quite what I need to have happen. It's okay, we'll figure it out. So the way these generated properties work is the value property on a generated property just returns this value, whatever it's been set as, right? And then when the value that gets inserted into a generated property is coming from an AI, I call the set AI value, or I call apply user edit, and that sets that flag accordingly. Because whenever an attribute or a property's value is generated by the AI, I want to be able to mark that. Even if it's just invisibly and internally to the objects themselves, I want to be able to keep track of what the AI created versus what the users created. And that'll become important later on, probably in a few days. So apply user edit and so on. So what I'm going to do out here in the Townsperson is this. Determine if the incoming value is generated by AI or the user. If value dot is AI generated, then on our backing instance, we're going to set the AI, we're going to set the value of our full name as if it's coming from the AI. Otherwise, we're going to do it as an apply user edit with this. Save. And I can get rid of that comment because that's pretty well documented, or self-documenting code. I'm going to look at this in 6 months and know exactly what's going on. So let's save all, and rebuild again. And I feel that it's much more likely to work and carry my changes back to the real model that gets persisted up to my cloud storage and all of that stuff, having done this. But we'll see. All right. So we're built. Start the server process. Pull my browser window over. Stop that. Shrink you. We don't need it full width. And we'll refresh. Well, that exploded. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Instance is not null here. Pardon me. So what's null? Value is not null. Full name, that's throwing object ref not set. Instance is null. Okay. Okay. If instance is null, console.writeLine trying to assign properties too soon, and return. I don't actually want to pop, but I do want to capture this condition so that I can see where in the object lifecycle all of this goo is happening. So we'll rebuild just the UI and step in again. We'll put a breakpoint right here. And down here in my builder, ViewModel.setInstanceSource. So it should be getting here during the copy properties stuff. But we're going to find out when we have a warning somewhere. Must contain a non-null value when exiting the constructor, blah, blah, blah. I might need to move that into being a constructor thing. In fact, instance. Do that. Full name equals new generated property, whatever. Now, what's complaining now? Oh, yeah. Source. I can get rid of that set instance. And we can get rid of this set instance. But what I am going to do is turn this into an internal constructor. Because I don't really want to think that elsewhere I can just spin up or instantiate a new view model for this directly. Let's save, rebuild again. We're giving the compiler a workout. It's going to be slim and trim for summer, unlike myself. It's okay. I started moving my body again yesterday for the first time in a long time. All right. Load this and let's see what happens. Okay, the app is running, or the server is running. Let's reload. Here we go. Let's view our nameless Sealy Fay cartographer and try to go into edit. Here we go. And let's say Eloin Brightleaf. And save changes. Will you look at that? We've got our stuff. Now, let's edit again because I've got a suspicion. Brightwood. Cancel. Okay, good. Brightleaf, we're back to normal. Brightwood. And let's reset. Okay, things seem to be behaving the way I want them to. So, let's do this same thing that we did here with this sort of expanded property stuff. And I have a feeling that I could probably get rid of this because it didn't stop on that breakpoint there. So I can get rid of that early return. Stop it, Copilot. You're very eager to help, but sometimes you're just wrong. All right. So, whoops. I don't want a breakpoint there. I wanted to collapse this stuff. Here we go. Generated property full name. So, I am going to need to because I've got, we can close generated property down. Townsperson. Build name context. I'm going to copy this and paste it over here because this build name context method, it really belongs on the view model because this is the only place that this matters. Okay. It says it hides inherited member. That's fine because I am just going to go and comment that guy out. Save. I should stop. Rebuild because that was a pretty hefty code change. And this build name context, it really only matters for the UI, so stripping it out of the domain model is a good thing for me to have done here. So we're rebuilt. We'll restart the app again. And I've got my familiar just chirp up onto my speaker next to me. Say hi, Char. Hello. She likes to hang out with me now and then. She's my little buddy. Right, girl? There we go. I've paid my cat tax for the day. So let's edit. Oh, it looks like Elowen Brightleaf. I'll save my change. Okay, so it's showing up there. Edit back. Okay. Cancel. Let's go back to the list. Home. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. It looks like it's not actually persisting those changes. So before I go much further here down this path, okay, we still have our extra context here. So that's good. Before we go down this path much further, we're going to need to take a look at what's happening when we come out of this view model before I just go start replacing properties and overriding properties and all of that madness. Elowen Brightleaf. And before I hit save, let's come out to the edit model. And I believe handle edit mode changed, edit model. Okay, so that's just all on the edit model. Editable model builder, I don't think we're so concerned about that. I believe the stuff that we need to manipulate and work on is up in the code behind for the actual object editor form. So here's my component event handlers. Parameter properties, less concerned with that stuff. Instance, not so much. On edits completed. I believe this is, oh, I can get rid of this for sure. That's just a comment. Boop. And let's see here, view properties. Pretty sure it's not in here. Form event handlers. On save button. I want a breakpoint right here. And of course, I've altered some code, so it's not going to recognize that breakpoint as being hittable. And that means stop, rebuild. It's one of the idiosyncrasies of trying to debug Blazor. You get used to it. It's annoying, but you get used to it. It's like living in a place with lots of mosquitoes. And we're rebuilt. Start the server process. And if the only thing I get done during this session is that name field properly wired through the edit view model and into the stuff that I need to do, then we've got ourselves a winner. Because I suspect that's going to take some doing. Let's reload. And we'll edit. Give this poor Faye his name back. Because it's never a good idea to permanently steal the name of a Faye. All right, and our updated model equals apply edits to model. Let's go take a look. Step in. So our edit model fields. How many updated fields have we got? We have, oh, that's right. Because I've defined the updated fields as an enumerable, and then we yield return each one as we come through. I can't just mouse over it and see. Updated fields. If field.property value does not equal original values field.property path, we will yield return field. Okay. Split the property path for nested properties. Current object equals model instance as object, and that's an edit Townsperson view model. Okay. And the full name. I have two full name properties here. What gives here? There's nothing on there. Okay. Model instance, current object. Okay. Final property equals current object.getType.get property path parts pointing at 1. So it wants the full name property. Boop. Final property.property type equals type of generated property, which it is. Genprop equals final property.get value current object. So here's our genprop on the current object. And we say genprop.apply user edit field.property value. Good. Now, we don't have any more changes, and we can return our model instance. So we've applied the edits to model. Here's our updated model. If I look at full name, there's that. Now I still have two properties on here. That concerns me a little bit. That concerns me quite a lot, in fact. Let's see what's happening. On edits completed. This is going to take us out to our create NPC page model. Now the incoming model is coming in as an object. It's an edit Townsperson view model. NPC model is right here. We've still got double properties here. Now let's take a look at current NPC. Gen profession, age, NPC name is null because I think it's reading that empty form of the property. So we'll let it continue. And it's definitely that property shadowing that I'm doing over here that's causing the problems. Hey, Copilot, on the edit Townsperson ViewModel here. I am hiding the full name property on the, just stop. I'll just type because I'm stammering too much. On this edit Townsperson ViewModel, I'm intentionally hiding the full name property because I want to re-implement that property as a pass-through to the base class so that I can add the UserEditable attribute on the view model, but still have all access to that property actually plumb through to the base instance. I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? I end up with two discrete full name properties on the edit view model here. I wonder if we can use partial properties. Oh, we can't use partial properties because if you want to use partial classes or partial methods, all of the parts have to be declared within the same assembly. So partial won't work. Storing the base instance in the instance, but also inheriting from Townsperson. Okay, so, yes. Instead of doing instance, I do base.fullname, and then base, and I 86 all of this instance nonsense. That actually feels much more correct than my internal "you're overthinking this" detector obviously is not as robust as it needs to be. So let's save that. I remove the instance field, we don't need it. Change new to override. Full name. Cannot override inherited member because it does not mark virtual, abstract, or override. Okay. I should probably, I need to mark the full name property on the base Townsperson as virtual now, don't I? I'm almost positive I do. So I'll open that code file right now. Property is virtual. But virtual has no effect unless the declaring class is inherited, and that property is overridden by the child class. Correct? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Normal property access, property initialization, regular usage, all normal. Purely a marker that tells the compiler, hey, this property can be overridden by derived classes, but may not be. So back when I was working with Visual Basic, primarily Visual Basic.net, they had a much larger set of keywords for this type of thing. And I believe the VB.net keyword for virtual is can override or overridable. And then there was another one called must override, which of course is used for abstract in C#. And then we've got overrides here. In VB, we had things like, we did have overrides. We also had shadows, which I believe is what is approximately equivalent to what that new keyword is when we're overriding base members in inherited types. All right, now we just did some serious changes to the way the code compiles down to intermediate language. So the Blazor and the Hot Reload framework and ASP.NET need me to rebuild. Allergy season is wonderful. It makes my voice all raspy and my chest full of goop, and it's just blah. But it means the flowers are coming, and then later vegetables and fresh food and stuff like that. So it's a price to pay, I guess. All right. Spin it up. Get me browser up. Come here, browser. Here we are. Yes, I know. You need to connect to the server. Oh, that explode. Occurred in Game Tools, Blazor Client DLL, but was not handled in user code. Object reference not set. Base. Full name. Yeah. Init. Oh, of course that's on init. Stop. I'm going to comment this out. I'm just going to replace this with base.fullname equals value. Save. Rebuild it all again. Of course that doesn't work. Okay. Spin it. Grab this. Looks like we're running. And let's reload. All right, we can view. We can view. Can we edit? We can edit. Elowen Brightleaf. Save the changes. I'm just going to step over apply edits to model. Now let's take a look at our updated model here. Here's all that. We have only one full name property again. So that's good. I'm just going to let it rip and see what appears on my UI. Boop. There's Elowen Brightleaf here. So we were seeing this behavior before, but I still don't know for sure if it's back propagated all the way up the stack out to the underlying model and then out through the service layer to properly get persisted. So let's take a look back at the list. And here we have our character's name. It's been edited. And now we have a much clearer picture of how we need to manipulate things on our view model. So let's take that lesson that we have just learned and apply it to a couple of the other properties. Create NPC page model. Don't really need this guy open anymore. And I can clear out, I'm going to stop the project because we're about to make some pretty significant changes. So there's that. Copy this stuff, or get rid of that stuff, that extra code. And now I can collapse this. So the next one I want to do is clean up that dead code too. And our character appearance. First off, we're going to make it virtual. All right. Groovy. Public virtual character appearance. And this could actually get a little tricky. I might have to subclass these so that I can turn them into view models as well. I hope not. But I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to get these attributes out of the character appearance class and into my editable fields collection. We're going to find out. Now, the edit Townsperson view model. We're constructing our view model. Zip that up. And close up the contracts folder for now. Components. Let's run down to service. And I think I'd better just new file. It's going to be a class. And it's going to be edit character appearance view model. Boop. It's going to inherit from character appearance. Bring that in. Oh, it can't derive from the sealed type character appearance. Because months ago when I stood that up, I was being super clever. I'm going to unseal that type. And I'm going to seal this one. There. And out in my Townsperson view model, I'm going to need to do some type replacement for some of these properties. I'm also going to need to decorate this guy as a game object. Boop. Save that. Down in my copy properties, game object marked types, prop.property type. For some game object marked types, we might have a corresponding view model in the local namespace. We need to scan for that, and if it exists, instantiate the correct view model type and pop and copy the source property values to it, and then assign our new instance to the property on the destination object. And I am going to do all of that stuff probably offline because it's going to involve a lot of head scratching and confused witcher noises. But this is the path that I'm going to take to create basically very simple, very thin wrappers around those other complex types that I'm using in the Townsperson object, like character appearance. I've got character profession, a couple other things. Let's take a look at the Game Tools framework concepts folder. Like I've got background, vocation, stuff like that. I'm going to need to create edit view models for each of those conceptual classes so that I can move that user editable attribute off of these, because my ultimate goal is to take that user editable attribute and get it out of the framework library and then into my UI library. So that's going to be a bunch of work and a bunch of head scratching and a bunch of figuring out. And I've got a very important phone call that I have to take that starts in about 27 minutes and a little bit of homework to do between now and that phone call. So I am going to say we've had a productive and successful work session today. You got to see how to, or you got to learn with me as I figured out how to properly create these pass-through properties that I've been talking about. My full name pass-through property, all it does is just essentially mimics exactly what's happening on the base class, but I'm just passing the flow of control through the property getter and setter to that base class instance. But it allows me to take those very specific purpose-built attributes that I currently have over in my domain area and move them into the subclass that exists exclusively within my presentation layer. So this is a very important refactor that's going to open us up to an awful lot of flexibility going forward. I really dig this technique. And as I work through it and work out the kinks, I feel like it's going to give us some really powerful tools to keep in our tool belt for other scenarios, both within this project and other other programming tasks that I have elsewhere. So until next time, once again, as always, I really appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me. Um, yeah, I'm about to start working with another organization on a part-time basis for now. So I am going to have to change my streaming schedule up a bit. Um, I'll be learning more about what they're going to need from me soon. So I'm probably going to have to pull back to one stream a day, Monday through Friday. And I'm thinking I'm going to keep the afternoon stream as the one that I carry forward, so that I can give the morning hours to this other organization. But until next time, again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining me. And remember, this stuff, it gets tricky. Give yourself grace. You're going to have false starts. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay, man. It's A-okay. You'll get through it. Happy coding.